In this episode of Beyond the Frequency, I sit down with Marcella Caradori, a certified Usui Reiki master, to dive deep into the world of Reiki and quantum healing. We explore the history of Reiki, its guiding principles, and how it stands apart from traditional healing methods. Marcella shares her journey and the transformative power of energy healing, emphasizing the role of intention, nutrition, and maintaining a high frequency for personal protection. We also touch on the scientific side of energy healing and the dual nature of energy. Marcella reflects on spirituality, her concept of God, and clears up common misconceptions about energy healing. This conversation is all about embracing a holistic approach to health, well-being, and the collective power of group meditation. It's an enlightening episode that offers a deep understanding of how energy, intention, and mindfulness can truly impact our lives. Marcella, it's a pleasure to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Cesar?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for being a part of, one of my first 3 podcasts. I'm excited to have you here.
It's an honor to be a part of this and a pleasure. So I thank you for asking me to join and be able to talk about this beautiful healing modality that's been around since 1922.
Wow, long time.
Yeah. So Reiki Usui, and it is from Mikao Usui, and he was from Japan, and he started this Reiki. Energy healing's been around for probably 2,500 years, as far as we know, right? From ancient civilizations like the Chinese and the Egyptians and other civilizations too. Who knows? Like, it's all over, right? I mean, logically and intuitively, we have to know that it's been around maybe even longer.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
So Usui, in Japan, in 1922, he went up to a mountain and meditated. I forget, I have to look, a certain amount of days. I took some notes here so I can. But it was Mount Karama, and he meditated. He was 57 years old. He was looking for enlightenment, and something happened to him where Reiki just struck him, and he came down. And then the following year, there was an earthquake in Tokyo. So they went to the town, and he and some of his students, his disciples, and am I saying that right?
I think it's disciples, right?
Disciples. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm also like horrible with words too, so you'll probably hear that throughout the episode as well. So go for it.
It's just when we're talking, and sometimes
right.
But and they started helping people that were affected and hurt, and it just became more like people started wanting it and believing in it, and he started a school, so he became a sensei. So, and then it just took off from there. So it's really an amazing history, and I'm honored to have learned it and to be a part of that. It's effective. And so you probably want to ask questions.
No, it's fine. So this is a platform that I'm providing, but I want you to just, whatever's on your mind, however it flows, like that's the good stuff. But yeah, let me actually, if you don't mind, I guess I'll start off with a question and see where that goes from there.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so my first question would be, for those who might be new to this, how would you explain the basics of Reiki and how it differs from quantum Reiki healing
Like, what's the unique element that sets your approach apart?
Okay, so everything's on a quantum level because quantum physics proves that energy is everything. And Reiki is an energy healing system. It's a complementary energy healing modality to other, say, more conventional or traditional or whatever it may be that a person needs or seeks. And we don't give medical advice. We're certified, but if somebody comes in and they have, cancer but they want healing, Reiki, we can help it as, a complementary therapy. Sometimes it's not needed to be a complementary therapy, but what it is, and I'll back up, so I tend to get a little off, but
You're fine.
we have energy fields in our body. Everything is made up of energy. So that's where I came up with my name, Quantum Reiki Healing. It's not a different type of healing. I do the traditional Usui. There's Western Reiki. There's other branches of Reiki. But what we do is it heals through the energy system. So we are basically a channel and we are a conduit to this energy system, which Reiki is universal. It's universal life force is what it is. So Rei is universal or divine, REI, and then Ki is energy, KI.
Okay,
So
good.
Reiki. So it's universal life force. So we're using that by soft, gentle touch, or you don't even have to. We can go over a person because sometimes a person may be uncomfortable to be touched. It just depends on each client is individual. And we can even do distance Reiki. It's like setting an intention as well. And
Okay, I've heard that.
I've done that too, and it's effective. But my experience is it hands-on is so much more effective. So we have it's a biofield. Like we have a biofield in our body, and it just stimulates the body's ability to heal itself, because we know the body is miraculous and it can heal itself through naturally, right? And then we develop illness, and sometimes the body cannot fight it off. And we know that our environment is involved in that, the pollution, stress. So Usui, his belief was that illness started from the spiritual side of it, and then it goes to the physical. So that's where Reiki comes in, because we know the spiritual, it starts with stress, and we know that stress causes illness. And in this day and age, in the entire planet, there's so much of that, and there's so much divide. So what can we do? Reiki is based on love too, because that's what the divine is. So the thought of Reiki is that we channel, right? We channel the energy. We have a system that we do, a technique that we per se. And you go through the different levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, which is master. Level 1 is Shoden, level 2 is Okuden, and level 3 is Shinpiden. So, which is the master level. And then after that, you can go on to the master teacher level, and right now training to do that as well. And so what you do is you basically assist, teach in Reiki master courses or other courses to either level 1 or 2. But anyway, so that's what we do. And we do hand movements, like in the beginning in Reiki, and the Reiki 1, you learn the basics, like the history, what it's about. You learn how to do the mudras with the hands and different techniques. And then level 2, you start to work on the symbols. The symbols are energy, just like words are energy, right? And each symbol has meaning. And then when you go to level 3, which is the master level, you learn the master symbol. And each level you become attuned. So the master teacher will attune you. And I'm telling you, it is the most amazing as being a student. And I just can't even say it's a gift. It's a gift.
I can imagine how evolved you feel as you're moving up to these different levels that you said. I can only imagine just do you feel more energetic
Yeah.
every time that you move up? Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, so you mentioned about, let's say level 1, you say the mudras, is that what it was? Was that like hands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can you like show us or tell us like maybe two or three common ones that people may either already use or don't know that they're doing, or maybe this will help them speak better.
Like there's one, and I won't like say the name, but there's one, and you can do this like over the third eye.
Okay.
You know,
And what is that? And
it opens up your third eye, which is your intuition. It connects
okay.
to the divine. And,
Okay.
we also balance out the chakras. And I'm sure you know about the
Yes.
chakras.
Hmm.
And there are so many chakras, but we do the basic, like the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, which is like right below the belly button, your heart chakra, your throat chakra, which is like speaking your truth. Like sometimes people have a blockage, for example, in their ability to like speak their truth or, whatever it may be in life.
Right. Right.
We know how complicated life is. And then you have your third eye, and then the head,
Right.
the top chakra. And then there are so many other chakras that go chakra that are way above that I don't even know what they all are. That's the thing about Reiki and all of the energy healing systems, because there are others and there's so much to learn. It's constant. And
Constant learning.
I have a few books here, and like there's a medical Reiki, which
Oh
is, and
wow.
so back on the Reiki. Okay, so a lot of people, it's becoming more well known, but some people think it's woo woo,
Yeah,
right?
like witchcraft or wizardry or like it's
Yeah.
because and do you and let me ask you that question. Why do you think people think it's woo? What's your what kind of feedback have you been hearing that Reiki is this?
It's not really tangible. It's kind of like you're having faith in something, but
Mm.
they've done scientific studies, and there are over 100 peer-reviewed papers done on it. About 800 or more hospitals in our country alone have Reiki practitioners,
No way.
including the VA, the Mayo
Really?
Clinic. Yes, I get chills. So the woman, Raven Keys, she just passed away maybe like a year and a half to 2 years ago. And my Reiki master teacher, I call her my Reiki mama. Her
Mm.
name's Carolyn Fowler, and she was good friends with her, and she recommended like all the books that I have. But this is where her first start, I'll tell you a little bit. She had a client, and a client saw Dr. Oz, like the famous Dr. Oz, and he was doing surgery, and the client was, I'm going to sum it up, terrified, and asked Raven if she would come in and do Reiki during the surgery. And she tells the story at the beginning of the book. I still haven't read, like, I'm not through all of it, but it's
Yeah.
because I switch from books to books.
Yeah.
It like tells this descriptive story of how she goes, and that she had to get it approved. And Dr. Oz was like, okay, let's do it. And they allowed her to go into the surgical room during the surgery and give her Reiki, which
Wow.
is amazing. And so it promotes the healing to this. So she obviously wasn't touching her client. She
Right.
was standing there giving Reiki on the side, but it just shows like how it can reduce stress. And we know stress causes illness, how it can calm the nervous system, how it can regulate your emotions. Like it does all of that, which is
Mhm.
fascinating. And
It is fascinating.
you take it out, and you put back in, basically. You take out what is disruptive in your body. And that's energy. Again, it's back to energy. And I know we're going to talk about consciousness, and this is part of it.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm going to ask you to probably share a bunch of other stories, while we're doing this episode here. I want to know, like, when it comes to the energy itself, when you're performing Reiki on, is it your energy that you're using on them? Or are you using their energy on themselves? Is it a combination of the two? How does that energy work, and where do you pull it from?
So that is a great question, because I was going to get on that and tell you, and I lost my thought because I'm talking. There's so much to share.
I got you covered. I'll keep you straight.
So we're basically channels and conduits, but my belief is we're using our energy too. because it makes sense. Because we are energy, so he's going to train me because I want to expand. I want to keep learning and whatever I can do to become stronger. But the more you do it and the more clients that you work on and feel, it's intuitive. So you just become stronger and you become more intuitive and you can feel it. Like you feel the energy. So I want to do a little exercise with you. Okay.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm down.
So this kind of shows, and this is for all the viewers, like it's called the energy ball. So put your hands like you're making a ball
Okay.
just in front of you and kind of move it around, just play with it. Like picture it as like now a flower or whatever you may, and just feel it.
I'm feeling some kind of force between my hands right now.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it's not
amazing.
even, yeah,
So
that's the energy ball.
focus on it.
Okay.
You can even close your eyes. And does it like want to get bigger? Does it
Yeah,
feel it?
it wants to grow, and I'm like containing it, so to speak.
Yeah, let it grow and just kind of like play with it like you have a ball in your hand.
It
Like a,
feels like energetic putty in some sense.
yeah,
Is that, yeah?
exactly. See, and I
It's like
can,
moving.
yeah,
Yours is that big already? Mine's still here.
it's still there and it's getting bigger. Like you feel it. Like this is what
Wow.
you learn in Reiki level 1. Like just to
Okay.
feel like the energy. So do you feel your hands are getting hot? Mine are getting
I
really
do. I do. They're not getting really hot, but they are warm. I don't know if it's because I'm sweating or if it's the energy.
cooling in
Yeah,
between.
yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
so that is an example. Like anybody can do it, you know?
Very cool. So that alone, that little exercise there, that level 1 exercise that you mentioned is just proof that energy is flowing, out of your body at all times,
Yes.
I was wondering if, and I could just be stretched out here, but I wonder if like sometimes you like walk, let's say you're walking down the hallway of your home and then something falls off the wall. Could that have been your energy that could have just like pushed it off because it was
I
just kind
think
of flowing? Yeah,
But I
something like that.
also believe in spirit.
Sure. Now,
But
our spirits for you, when you mention spirits, because everybody has, different views of what spirits is. Now, I'll share mine before you share yours, and let's see if we're on the same page. I just look at it as just energy. Spirits to me are just energy at a different frequency.
that makes,
So,
yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, they're here, but we're vibrating on a different frequency, our bodies. So we can't interact with them because they're on different frequency. It's like a radio station. Two radio stations can be heard at the same time unless they start, mixing around and everything. So yeah, what do you think a spirit is?
now that you say that, it's kind of like what we think it is, right? It's just a different concept, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
a spirit, it could be a person that I also think it could be a deceased, person or
Right,
ancestor or a spirit guide, but is that
right.
just energy on a different consciousness?
Well, I mean, when you said that a deceased person, right? When we think that our bodies are vessels, or some people call them containers, right? And the spark that turns us on is consciousness. Once consciousness or energy is imbued into these vessels, we turn on, and then we're moving around. And when we decease or expire, pass away, that energy leaves our body because the car is broken down, so to speak. And then that's where you have your apparitions, your ghosts, when you go into like haunted, building, and you feel like hairs in the back of your neck standing up.
Yeah.
That's energy. That's
Yeah.
energy of whatever energy entity is still there. It's energy. It's like I also compare it to like holograms, right? Holograms, we see them, but we can't interact with them, but because they're vibrating, or not vibrating, but they're obviously on a different frequency, so they're not tangible. So when you mentioned earlier that everything is energy, that's what it is. Even the cup here, everything there, the chair, the water, everything is energy. So
Water flows. And here's, now that it is true, and we can even give items, Reiki. We can give plants,
tell
animals.
me about that.
To my dog, you can do a test where you give Reiki to your water, and then you have water that you don't give Reiki to, and then do a taste test. And that's one of the things we did in Reiki level 2. Our teacher had already given us like apples, like some fruit, Reiki, and had us test it.
You didn't know which one. So you had, let's say, 2 apples, and you didn't know which one was infused with the Reiki energy. Now, when you say Reiki energy, we're talking about, are we just obviously positive intentions into that fruit? Is that what it is?
Like, so with the items, like the fruit, the apples, the water, yes, you would give Reiki to that with, like, you do a human, but the whole technique, right? You would just do
Right.
like the hand mudras over it and just put your intention, like you said, into that item and into the water. It was amazing because all of the students guessed the one. It tasted better. It looked fresher. You know how like apples will kind of get browning and,
I do want to add a science fact regarding energy in our body that I'm aware of. So every cell has 0.07 millivolts. Okay. Now we have about 35 million cells in our body. So if you do the math and you multiply that, we have probably about 2.65 trillion volts of energy in our body. That's science, right?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, why are we tapping into that energy, right? Why, on a daily basis, that we're pretty much walking nuclear bombs, but people like yourself understand that energy while others don't, and I think it's important to, also whenever we discuss these things, it's always good to throw a little science to like, hey, this part's fact. But even though this is science and everything, there's also some conscious, some spiritual, learning that you have to do to be able to apply that, I think I did hear about that test that you mentioned about the fruit and viewing the Reiki stuff. I heard something along that regarding water, where they took two big buckets of water, and they were both in 2 similar rooms, and I think they did it with a classroom, like a classroom of kids. Let's say there were like 12 kids and 1 teacher. So they took 6 kids in 1 room, and we'll call that the negative energy room. And then they took the other 6 kids and they put them in the positive. The teacher told the kids in the negative room, I want you to say all the bad words and all the, negative intentions to this bucket of water. And we're also going to dim down the lights a little bit too. So there was just a bunch of bad stuff going on that who knows what these kids were saying to this bucket of water, right? While in the other room, in the positive room, there was plenty of light, and these children were just saying nothing but love, positive intentions, and things like that.
Yeah.
They did that probably for about 15 minutes, and then they left. And then the class came back the next day, and the teacher took like a couple of drops on a microscope, whatever, and all the classroom looked at them, the negative ones and the positive ones, and they saw these crystal formations on both of them. In the negative testing, they saw that these crystals were maldeformed, dark, kind of ugly, while in the ones that came from the positive room, beautiful, like almost like snowflakes. And the kids were just astonished, like, it's the same water, we don't understand. And the teacher just basically said, it's about your intentions,
Yeah.
So that's kind of to what you were saying. We are, I don't know how much percentage of water. We're like, what, like 70% or something like that, or maybe more of water.
I think it's more for sure. Yeah.
Right. So if we're full of water, and that test alone, and many other tests like it, have proved that our cymatic frequencies, meaning, the words, how we shake up the air, affects those water molecules. Then this is why whenever words are powerful, like you said earlier. So when people say something negative to you, we feel bad.
Yeah.
And when somebody says something nice to you, that frequency hits you with the intention. It's not the word. It's not the words. That's why I think with the old school, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that's kind of been proven wrong, because words are a powerful thing. So just kind of adding to what you were talking about, I think that, yeah, it's energy, man. It comes in all formats. But yes, words, we are powerful beings when we speak. we bring things into reality, right?
Yeah. What we think, what we send. And that's why, Reiki cannot hurt you. It's love. It's pure intention. It's love. And it's part of the consciousness, like our higher self, right? We reach that level to the divine, to where that's why I think it's both of us. It can't just be, and that's not the traditional thought. The traditional thought is you're just a channel, but it can't be, in my view.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
we know there's so much research done on that. And back on, like, people who are skeptical, they can go to IARP, which is International Association of Reiki Professional org. I think it's .org. And there's science on there. They can look up. Yeah, I'm a member, so we have a members portion of that. But they can look up articles that shows that, if anyone's interested in delving deeper, or you can just Google it. It's all over. But when we talk about consciousness and you're bringing up crystals, like I have a few of my crystals, like this baby is a quartz, right?
Oh, let's see. I
And
got,
this
I think
one,
I got a few. Let's see. Got a few
is that a
here.
selenite?
I think, yeah.
I was in this little crystal shop with my son years ago, and we just popped in, and this one spoke to me, and it was in a cabinet. And it's like everything has a consciousness.
Yes.
Everything
Yes.
has it. Like it's
Talk about
in
it.
everything. So basically, what a Reiki master, we are given the tools and the technique to tap into that, into a higher level. But anyone, we just have to get there. We have to figure out how to get there. And like you said, like, how does everybody not know and they're not aware? Because we live in a 3D reality where people are divided over politics. They're in survival mode. They eat processed foods. They drink. They do drugs. They do whatever. They have, conflict, because humans, we all have our perspective, right? So there's always going to be like dark and light too. There's going to be that. So how can we make a difference? We separate ourselves from that, and it's hard. It definitely work to do that,
Yeah.
because we have to continue to work on ourselves. Like even people who are healers, we have to continue to work on ourselves. And if you don't work on yourself, and you can't, how can you heal others? Like, how can you go and eat McDonald's and then go give somebody a Reiki session, right? So it's all of that. So how can we bring this about? Well, your podcast alone is hopefully going to make a difference. Maybe on here will hopefully make a difference, even if it reaches one or two people, and it resonates with them, because it goes out to the collective. It's collective energy, collective consciousness, right? That terms.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. You're absolutely right. As long as I'm a big firm believer that as long as you make a difference in one person, that's enough. I think like when we physically help one person, we're physically helping that one person, and then later on it trickles as they pass it forward a little bit slowly, or however slow that it goes and everything. But spiritually and consciously, when we change, or let me not say change, when we plant that seed that you are powerful, within yourself, right? Stop looking into the universe and start looking to the inverse, right? Look inside of you. When you start understanding that, you change more than just you. You, like how you say, you now become part of the collective consciousness. You've just latched on, and you're going for that ride. And it takes just that one conversation. How many times in your life where you've had just that one conversation, whether it was 5 minutes or 2 hours with that one person, it just changed the directory of your life.
Absolutely. And I'll give you one example. Just
Please.
yesterday, man, I walk my dogs pretty much every day, and it was yesterday morning, and I'm walking, and this man came by, and he said hi. And, I was like, just small talk with him about my dogs, and he was just walking so healthy and energetic. He was 80 years old.
No way. He didn't look that.
No, he was just I do. I walk all the time, and and it just made me smile. Like we talked about that, and started talking about the divine. It just got into like how like living. How can we make ourselves better? Because if we make ourselves better, which Reiki does, Reiki affects the practitioners. Now, somebody could become a practitioner and not even want to have clients. You do it for yourself, right? You do it for yourself, you do it for the whole. And this
Yeah.
man it just made me so happy because to see people who care about themselves. And that's what it is. Like, unfortunately, people don't care about themselves and they hurt themselves, and they're addicted, like the food system. And that's a whole nother topic because I'm very about health and about what you put into your body, but how do we get away from that?
Well, let's talk about that regarding the food and the health. Like, I mean, outside of why I think eating healthy is obviously the way to go, and we do understand that, I'll say it here, the government and those food industries are poisoning us.
Absolutely.
I mean, with full intention, okay?
Yeah.
But with the foods, for people who are trying to, I don't know if it's cleansing themselves or maybe if it's just to detox themselves, to just feel a little more energetic, right? We have a lot of people who are always tired, right? They're always walking after the day. I'm always so tired. And they go to the medical, doctors and whatnot. They probably tell them, you're low on iron or you're low on some kind of mineral stuff. But when it comes to food, what can you tell myself and the viewers about maybe 2 or 3 foods that will increase their energy when they eat it?
Okay. So I have quite a few because I practice what I preach. I truly do because I'm highly sensitive and food has always affected me. And even when I was young, and, we're in that generation where we had like fast food and it became like what do we call it? Like it just became like a normal thing, where they brought that out and they're like, oh, this is good. And let's eat chips. Well, I don't eat processed food. I eat pure food. I make it myself. Rarely do I go out to restaurants because if I do, I don't feel good. I try to buy like mostly everything organic, but I know that's not feasible for a lot of people, unfortunately. So my suggestion would be to buy whole food and make it. And don't go buy like, okay, I bought all these vegetables and then I bought this bottle of like mixed whatever, to flavor it, do it yourself, like herbs, spices. Herbs are medicinal, garlic, basil, but then the other things that I do, I take mushrooms, like not psychedelic.
Love, no. I mean, and if you did, great. So, but I mean, mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I actually take powder mushrooms in my
Me too.
drink. Yeah, like because it's a performance. Okay, so we're on the same page. So yeah, I do the powders, and I also do a couple of gummies. Just to kind of like once a day type of deal. But yeah, talk to me about the mushroom.
So we know, like back on consciousness, we
Right.
know mushrooms. Like, let's use that as an example because they are one of the highest consciousness. Like, there are
Yes.
movies about it, which I need to watch, but I've read up on it and they are highly intelligent. So the ones that I take, and there are so many, and you don't have to limit yourself. I take 3. I take red reishi, I take tremella, and I take lion's mane. Lion's mane is for the brain.
Yes.
Tremella is like vitality, and red reishi is like the overall, like, let's rejuvenate you and keep you young and healthy and energetic. And those are the ones that I take. I'll do wheatgrass, not every day, because I also have like a green powder with all the greens and like wheatgrass and what are the ones like the seaweed? What I can't think of it right now,
I can't
but
think about it, but I know what you're talking. Yeah.
it's called Protein and Greens, and it has no preservatives, and it's by Paradise Herbs, and it has like just all the good stuff without preservatives and protein, pea protein. And that's the thing is I don't eat meat either, but I do
Oh
eat.
wow.
I'll eat fish on occasion,
Okay.
and even that I stopped because also like I do it for health, but it's also like a thing about eating flesh for me,
I got
Yeah.
you. Have you
And
always been that? Like, have you always been against, not against, but have you always stayed away from me, or you came up to a certain point maybe when you started doing the Reiki, where you just
well,
started figuring out?
way before that, when I was younger and I first moved out on my own, and and my father coming from an Italian family,
Oh yeah,
I was on my own, and he would give me food, and he would make homemade sausage and meatballs, and you want
yeah.
to send that over, and I'm like, I'm not eating meat anymore. And he's told me,
No.
he's like, you're gonna go.
Did he disown you after that?
Yeah, he told me I was going to die, and
No. Oh, because you're not eating meat. That's why
meat,
he's. That's why.
because
What
that's like,
about what about pasta? Pasta, because you're Italian. Is pasta okay to eat?
it's okay, but I can't eat gluten because I have a
Okay.
intolerance, and that came on like later in life after having my kids, and
Got you.
I done research on it, and a lot of that is linked to like the GMOs and the pesticides too that they have in the crop. So that's another topic that people who become, I'm not celiac, but I'm intolerant, and they're linking that, and also dairy issues too, because I was definitely allergic to dairy when I was little, like just so allergic. I would break out in hives, and I outgrew it, and then I had my kids, and then it came back
Yeah.
after, but I can tolerate like sheep or goat cheeses, and I do that on occasion. So I'm not a vegan, I just don't eat, I don't like to eat flesh.
Okay, that's fair. I thought, and I'm learning something new right now, because I thought if you just didn't eat meat, period, you are a vegan. So if you're not a vegan, then what do you consider yourself when it comes to that realm? Well, like, you're either a meat eater or a vegan. What's the middle
Well,
one?
that's so you have pescatarian, which are people who eat fish.
Okay,
I guess I would be considered that, but I don't do it that often,
gotcha. Okay, okay,
Yeah. And then you just have vegetarians who are people who eat cheese and dairy products, but they don't eat the meat part of it.
right, right,
And
right.
I absolutely do not eat eggs. I can't eat
Yeah,
eggs.
yeah,
That
yeah,
I
yeah.
appeal to me, but my body just doesn't digest them. But so
Understood.
a vegan is somebody that eats absolutely no animal products. They can't even eat honey because it comes from meat.
It's comes from, okay, so okay, animal products.
Yeah,
Okay, I thought I knew what a vegan was, but now that small piece has kind of clarified it. Nothing animal product related, even if the animal spits it out, you can't
yeah,
have that.
exactly.
Okay.
And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
encouraging anyone to switch over because I'm aware that our bodies are different. We all require different things. And I know that, like a lot of men, there are vegan men that are bodybuilders, but I know a lot of men that just need to have meat. And my sons eat meat,
Yeah.
and I'm okay with that. Like whatever is good for you. But for me, I find my vitality when I stopped eating it. I was like, wow, my energy level is,
Yeah.
it's just sky high. But another thing that I do that I love to eat, and I don't do it all the time, I eat sea moss and I make it myself. I
Heard of
actually,
that.
and if you look on my Instagram, I have a little like video and like, put together like a reel put together and
Okay.
like,
And for the viewers, just so you guys will know, I will put her Instagram if you're okay with it, right?
yeah,
Put her Instagram on the bottom of this episode's link, so you guys can check her out and follow her and see her through her journey as well. So continue, please.
yeah, I was a little quiet the past year because I've had some personal things, and now I'm finally like coming out of like a metamorphosis, coming out of the cocoon and,
Yeah.
just trying to get myself out again. And like you're helping me by asking me to come on and pulling me out of my little safety box, if you
Yeah,
will.
awesome. I'm glad that you're able to just take this journey with me. I mean, in this case, not just join me as I'm already in it, like I'm starting this out. So this is very cool. And, obviously, as I consider every guest that, hopefully every guest that, comes on, have some long-term relationship with that person, because I am interested in everybody that I talk to. And I do want to see, where they're at, where they were at when I first met them, and where they're at now, it just kind of proves that, that they are progressing, that they are changing for the better, right? Because everybody's striving for the next best thing. I wanted to ask you, so you've helped so many people transform their lives through energy. Can you share a memorable experience or success story that really highlights the power of this work?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few, but I had a friend and I just gave her Reiki, as I'm not in it for money. Like, I'm going to charge clients. You have to, because money is energy and it's your time and you're using your energy. But like, as you know, I have a different career. I'm a designer, an interior designer, because that's how we met. So, like, for the viewers, is Cesar's fiance and I worked together. So that's how we were introduced. But if this ever became a full time, I would love to do it full time too, if I could. For now, it's to help people. And that is my part in the world. And that I want to be known like, hey, she helped me. She helped me get through this. But a friend, back on that, a friend, she was going through some stress. And I came over, I gave her distance Reiki, like before that happened. And then I went in and did it in person and it released out of her. She was seeing like the symbols, what are they? Like the ancient Egyptian.
Oh, okay. Like the Om, like are you talking about like the Om symbols? Are you talking about like not hieroglyphs or anything?
But
But
yeah,
what?
I can't think of the name, but they're
Oh, it's
symbols.
okay. All right, it's okay.
And she was seeing those, and then she was floating for days. And we could, and
Now,
I still,
clarify. When you say she was floating, let's be more specific for people that are kind of shrugging their eyebrows. What do you mean by floating?
dude, we call it Reiki drunk. That's what my Reiki teacher, Reiki mama,
I
told
like it.
me. But it's
Yeah.
like where you just feel, and that's how I felt after I was attuned for my Reiki master. I was floating like a child, like happy and just like, woo, like I just,
Oh, okay.
like you were walking on clouds and you're just, and she called me and it settled after a few days, but she was float, and that's happened to a few people that I've given Reiki to and other Reiki practitioners that talk about that what what clients like give feedback. So we know it's consistent, right? And it cleared her up. And then my mom, of course, I've given her Reiki a few times. And I went over one day, I gave her Reiki, didn't know, like afterwards, she's like, how did you do that? And I said, how did I do what? She said, I've been congested for a week and you cleared it up. And I
Wow.
still get chills. So I'm like, I don't know. The Reiki, it just
Yeah,
did it,
this does it. Marcella, do you surprise yourself every time you help somebody?
pretty much, yeah. Because
Yeah.
I feel forward by it.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. And I like something that you said earlier that, yeah, of course, because of your time, you should, I agree, you should charge people, for that. But I think the money aspect is the result of, right, of you doing
Right.
your passion. This is why when people live and exist in their passion, money's just flowing in, it's a result. It's not something people look at it as I need to get money to do my passion. No, 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 no. You need to do your passion. Find a way to do your passion, and the money will just be an after effect, and then people continue, to doing it. This is why some of these people that are just like, long-term careers just continue like long-term comedians or singers or whatnot. They're just doing what they love to do, and they're just like filthy rich. And it's
Yeah,
not like they're hungry for it. They're just doing what they're doing. Money's just coming in. So,
it's amazing.
but the key thing was the fact that you said that even though that you're doing that, you're doing Reiki and you're doing it for people because you want to help people. When you said that, I got goosebumps down my arm because it's a beautiful thing to talk and meet with people who are taking the time to learn skill sets and to put and to just put it forward for other people. And not a lot of people, everybody's about me first, but for you to verbally out loud just kind of say that, I'm doing this because I also just want to help people. And then, the reward of helping those people makes you feel like in that time, that Reiki drunk stage is like, this is amazing, Um,
Exactly.
I wish more people, I wish there were like dedicated TV channel or something that shows all of these people like yourself that are doing these amazing things and bring smile to the viewers. Like, wow, like, they're doing this, but we don't get those channels. We get all the, crime and who killed who and
And
politics. Well, I was going to say politics, but I call them tricks,
yes, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so yeah, I hope there's a lot more people out there listening that can resonate to what Marcella's saying, that whatever passion that you're doing, I hope that you're doing it because it makes you happy to make other people happy.
Yeah,
Don't do it to get wealthy. Don't do it to get that nice car. All that stuff, if you get it, it's a result. It's a result of the good that you're doing. But don't let
right.
that be the upfront, this is why I'm doing it.
And what's the intention behind it, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like for like us, we're like-minded and it has to be for the highest good of all, whatever you do. As a result, we don't do it because we know it's going to come back. It's just a result that it comes back. And Reiki, when you give others Reiki, like I had mentioned earlier, that you become stronger as a practitioner, but you'll also heal yourself. And you have to make sure that you cleanse it yourself as not to take in energy, because that can happen, especially as empaths. I know people use that term a lot, so I don't want to be
Well,
like,
what's your
but I
no?
am.
What's no? I let's. I mean, we can always look up the dictionary what it defines as, but your perspective, your understanding of what you do. What do you consider when you say?
Like when you take on other people's energy, so and you can feel it and you understand just by understanding, by knowing, right? Without knowing, like that, I've always had that. And when I was young, like in grade school, if there was like negative energy, like we talked about earlier, like, and when you were talking about that study that they did with the kids in the room, like I would always think, oh my gosh, did I do something? Because I didn't understand all these emotions. Like I'm taking in all these emotions. So I think Reiki and just the spiritual path that I've been on, even before Reiki, it was meant to happen because of that. And I feel like, like they say like anybody can have Reiki or do Reiki, but I don't know if I agree with that, because there's dark in the world. And there are people who do not have the best intentions. So do you want somebody that's a sociopath giving you Reiki, but they probably wouldn't have gone through and done the certification, but you never know.
Right. No, and that's actually a good point. So, I mean, let's just use something that everybody's familiar with. We've all heard of the movies like Star Wars, right? There's the dark force and the Jedi, the good force and everything. So, in that concept, we're saying that in the universe it exists. There's good energy and there's bad energy, right?
Yeah.
So, if somebody who's, let's say, like you said, a sociopath that may have bad intentions, but they understand that by learning the arts of Reiki and whatnot, they can use that energy or they can use that skill set for bad, for negative. So it's not the energy that's good or bad, it's the people or the
Right.
entities that use that energy. So my question to you on after that is, if somebody wants to go get, Reiki healing session with somebody, how can that average person know if the Reiki practitioner is a good or a bad person? How do they know?
Intuitive. You just feel
Okay.
it. And
Follow
I
your
think
gut.
anybody that's in a Reiki master position, master teacher would know. But
Okay.
because Reiki is love, even if they tried and they say they got certified and then they had clients and they're like, I'm gonna put a voodoo on this person or a hex or whatever, I'm gonna put in bad energy. It can't happen. That's my view. Like there's no proof of it, but it just seems like logical because Reiki comes from the divine. So if they're trying to perform Reiki, it's not Reiki. It's something else.
Right. It's
Right.
something else. Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And you said the key word there. Intention is everything. Intention is the fuel to every conscious thought that you think of. With the right amount of intention, it can manifest in whatever you're feeling, whatever that intention is behind that thought. That's how it's going to manifest into this third density reality. there's a conscious equation out there, and it's not a real one, but it makes sense when you explain it. That it's the formula is CT multiplied by A squared equals N. And what that translates to is conscious thought multiplied by application equals manifestation.
Wow.
Yeah. So the point is that there's a saying where people say, information is power. Yes, information is power, but the missing piece to that is that application. Information without application is just information. When there's so many people that have great ideas, but they don't say nothing about it. They don't apply themselves to it. Somebody says, you know what, I want, I don't know, I want this great job. But I have to go to school and I have to, go learn this from this person. Then I got to go to the bank to get a loan or something like that. That effort, that's application. You can think about it all day, but then if you don't apply yourself or apply the steps to make that, conscious thought a reality, it doesn't manifest. And then you're just dead air, I guess. I don't know, so that's
I
it.
agree. That's amazing perspective too, because there's bad back on the dark. That's another thing we do, as it's very rare, but when you become a Reiki master, you learn how to take out entity and
like exorcism type deal.
I mean dark
Just
entities.
dark energy, period. I got you. I'm with you.
Somebody may have had it's not often that it happens, or an
Sure.
illness like
Mm.
it could be a cancer, and you just take that out. But there's sometimes people, and not everyone will agree with this. It can be religious, spiritual, but I think entities do come into people, right? I feel like we are all born sovereign and born with love. That's who we're supposed to be, love, our spirits, our soul. And so how does somebody become a narcissist or a sociopath? Is it a mental, like a brain chemical disorder? It's the way they're brought up, or, it could be so many factors. But also I feel like say somebody's a drug addict or an alcoholic, you're opening up a portal to allow these to come in, so we learn how to do that, but I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of any of it because we're protected. Right.
And when you're saying opening up the portal, and correct me if I'm wrong here. The way I'm understanding is I look at our frequency as our protective energy barrier, right? So if our frequency is low, whatever that emotion is, then our barrier is low, which then in your sense opens a portal or allows bad energy to affect you, right? So if let's say, and this is just my thought of what you were saying here, if let's say you're a depressed person, you're always depressed, right? And then you have other people, let's say, family or friend that hold you to that depression. Oh, you suck, or you'll never be anything, and blah, blah, blah. They're just feeding into that negative energy, and it keeps lowering it down, and unless you realize that you're more powerful than what's coming in, you're always going to keep that window cracked down, letting all that bad energy, let bad air in. So are you also saying that if you find a way to higher your frequency, and I'm going to ask you, what are some steps to keep your frequency at a high level, to keep yourself protected and stronger than those negative energies outside?
Like I've talked about, I think drugs and alcohol lower your frequency. I think a poor diet lowers your frequency. Relationships, like abusive relationships, a job, like these are things that lower it. So what can you do? Like you can't always stay away from a job. You may be stuck in a marriage that you can't get out of because of many reasons, financial, children, whatever it may be. But if you try to eat healthy, you take care of your body, you exercise, you find a spiritual practice, go outside and ground. Because there's science on grounding, like negative ions go into it recharges your body with the negative ions in the ground. There's science that proves it. Like this.
Tell me about that. Tell the viewers about when you say grounding. Some people may know what that is, others may not. What is it, and how do you do it?
You're connecting to the earth. So you can go and stand out there for 5 minutes, even in the grass, or go hug a tree, just go out and touch. Like we wear synthetic shoes that separate us from the earth. And we are part of that frequency. The earth is a frequency and we're part of it. We are not separate, you know? And so if we just go ground, it's healing. If you're not feeling good, go sit out there and ground, you know, get in nature. I cannot express enough how much nature is important because we're used to looking at screens now. You know how this day and age of technology is. It takes us away from all of it. And we are also losing human connection. So if you can find connection, that's so important. You know, they've done studies on that too. Connection and love. Or they can call me for a Reiki session.
Absolutely. And I'm going to make sure, we're going to make sure that also, at the bottom of this episode, information which you share with me, and then people want to get a hold of you and ask you questions, like, have at it. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to bring people like yourself, you know, with your experience and your skill set, to talk about it and like share knowledge, drop those gems, you know. For some of you that are listening, if this information is for you, then great. If it's not, that's okay. You know,
Exactly.
it's not for everybody. And what you're learning here is not to convince you. It's not to change your mind. It's not to tell you to do anything. We are having a conversation, enlightening your day, your evening, your morning, whenever you're listening to this podcast. But we're just giving you a different perspective from different people.
Another
Yeah.
thing is meditation. So
Yeah, talk about it.
meditation is not always what we think it is. You know, you have mental, there's physical, and then there's spiritual. So a lot of people don't meditate because they like, I can't do it. I don't know how to do it, right? But do you know, just focusing on something like washing the dishes, and if your mind is just on that, that's a form of physical meditation, right?
Mm.
Or mental. I think that would be mental or physical. Those kind of go together. But like what I do, I've done for so long, for over 20 years. I'm a ballet dancer and I still perform and I love it. And
Wow.
that's
Here,
how,
do you perform here locally or anything?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool. Well, I didn't know that.
yeah. But I do, and I still do that. And it's a form of meditation because you're focused. Like mindfulness is meditation, right? So say you're doing dishes and then you're like, oh, I got a text and, you know, let me stop and get distracted. Or you're even cleaning. Like you could just be focused on cleaning. Whatever it is that you're doing, stay focused. Stay on that one task and be mindful. Like writing, singing, dancing, listening to music, all of it, you know. And then there's guided meditation, right? Guided, you can go on YouTube and find so many guided meditations. I recommend looking up Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's very well known. Are you familiar with him?
No, I'm not.
So he has a book that I have, like he has several, but I have Becoming Supernatural. And he talks about what he teaches is tapping in to that higher consciousness, right? And you have to basically go into that other level and you have to work to do it, right? You can't just expect it to come, and it's through meditations. And he has retreats, which I haven't gone to any of those, but he's all over YouTube. You can hear him talk, but he's very well known into, you know, becoming what you want to be, out of yourself, like out of your state of mind, like, oh, I can't do this, I'm so depressed, and you know, like my coworker yelled at me, my boss yelled at me, I hate driving in traffic. Like, I'm out of that. Like, that's where we get caught up, but we have to do the work. It's our responsibility to do that work, to be able to get out of that, because nobody's going to take you out of that mindset, right? And that's another thing of mindfulness. Like, do we get to choose every day. We can wake up and say, do I want to be unhappy and angry and, you know, fight with my partner? And you know, some things are unavoidable, but what, like you asked, what can you do to help with that, right? That was your question, like things
Yeah.
you can do. And then like on this spiritual, like let me get back on spiritual meditation, is where you can just close your eyes and go into another dimension and you're just in a zone. And it's like kind of like you're sleeping, but you're not sleeping. I give myself Reiki most daily. And I can get into this where I close my eyes, I'm giving myself Reiki, and I'm just seeing colors like a nebula
Oh,
in
wow.
outer space. Like it just comes in. And especially if I'm sitting outside where the sun's beaming and it's daylight and it just like these colors. I mean, it's beautiful. And that's where I would love to see more people get in touch with that. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if, well, I'm sure there is, but I've never been a part of it. But I wonder if there's like meditation groups. I'm talking about like 100 people just gathered around, consciously meditating or together or some kind of, I guess some call it like a kumbaya moment, but without the kumbaya, just, just straight up, just everybody thinking the same direction, the same way. I wonder if that exists. I have to look that up. Have
Well,
you heard
that's
of
what
anything like that?
Dr. Joe Dispenza with his retreat, for example.
Oh, the
And like,
retreat.
yeah, he has
Yes.
retreats and people go and they're like hundreds in a room and they're meditating. I mean, imagine the feeling. People
Oh
have
my gosh, the energy.
healed themselves. They heal themselves through
Mm,
like
okay.
people have had cancer and they heal themselves.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
or women, like a woman not being able to walk and in a wheelchair and able to get up after that retreat, which I have
yeah.
not personally experienced that.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I've had a friend who's gone to a few of the retreats, and it's really, really fantastic. And I know like monasteries do that, Buddhists, they, and then sometimes there's selected meditations where people start it on Facebook, like a special time or day, and they like get everybody around the world gets together and meditate, imagine
Oh, that's
what that can
awesome.
do.
Can you
So
imagine if like we got about 8.5 billion people on this planet, if like for some amazing reason, every single person agreed to have this like even like 10-minute meditation, gosh, the energy, right? I feel like we'll all be drunken Reiki floating
yeah,
around together, right? I think we'll be solving problems in those 15 minutes,
I
you
know
know?
all the political unrest, which is a
Yeah,
mess, you know,
gone.
and there's like you talked, like there's a lot of greed. So do these people, what do they need? They just maybe they need
They,
love.
yeah, they need love. Well, let me ask about this love again, frequency, right? I attach frequency to everything. So love is a frequency, fear is a frequency, every emotion is a frequency. I mean, peer reviewed science has actually shown that they put those taps on the people's heads. They looked at their brains as they go through these different emotions, and they reported that each emotion has its own color, has its own frequency,
Yeah.
and how much of it, through their intention, right? So they even tested these participants by saying like, say these words that obviously imbue like a hatred feeling or something sad. Then they tested them while they were looking at pictures or cookies, favorite foods, whatever the case is. And it's all the same, no matter if it was words, pictures, or just thoughts. If let's say you were feeling love, that same frequency, I'm talking about, they measured it, same frequency was still active. So they're like, no matter what it is, the intention, the emotion, whatever it is that you're feeling and everything, they recorded it. And it's like, yeah, emotions are a thing and they're powerful. And if the machine that's external can record that energy coming from you, then absolutely, if you say those same exact things or think those negative or positive thoughts towards a human being or even uh, an animal, right? A plant, a rock, anything that has a conscious atom, which is everything, right? You
Exactly.
are affecting it. You are affecting it. So I want people to keep that in mind. I think we can all agree that everything that is in existence, let me even do it even easier. Every atom is conscious. Every atom is conscious. Just because this microphone in front of me isn't talking to me doesn't mean it's not alive.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's energy. It's energy. Absolutely.
The chair you're sitting in, the pen, everything is energy. We just don't see it with the bare eye. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
not we don't perceive it the way that when you look at when you say something's alive, we have a definition of what that means. It's breathing, it's got blood for it, but you got to think bigger than. So, Marcella, let me ask you this though. I want to move into into religion for a second here. So with people that, people that are spiritual healers like yourself, people are going to ask, do you believe in God? And what does that mean to you? What is God to you? Explain that. Where do you stand with that?
So I am open about this. I feel God, the divine, whatever term you want to use. I don't think it's just one person, because if you think about all of the other religions in the world, why is one religion the right one versus over the other? So it is the collective consciousness again, because we are all God. We're all part of it. We're all part of the universe. Every cell is part of that. So we
Yes.
are God,
I
right?
love that. Say that last part again.
Like what part? The cell? Like
That you said we are God.
we are
See,
God?
we are all right, following along with what you're saying. If God, and let's just make sure that I'm also clarifying what I'm saying. I do believe in God, but not the God that, not the God of any religion, not the God of particular. I believe there is a creator, something
So,
higher than us. And I'm going
yeah,
to give it a name. I'm going to give it source. Okay. The source energy. All right. So source energy created everything that exists, and every single thing that exists, whether it be people, plants, animals, rocks, air, whatever the case is, everything is imbued with that source God energy. So when Marcella is saying that we are God, what she's saying is that we're part of it. We're part of that divine energy,
we
you know?
are.
Yeah.
And back on the definition of Reiki, universal life force, the divine source. That's where the energy is coming from, and that is love. And that's how it heals. And again, and then we go back on quantum physics, like we talked about, that energy is everything. So we know that that is working because that's where the energy is coming, right? And we are part of it. It's very complex. It's fascinating. And
It's complex and it's fascinating. And there's a lot of people that their brains are melting right now. They don't understand what is being said, but that's okay. You don't have to, you don't have to finish the whole cup, just take sips, right? Process it, see if you like it, come back for more. That's just kind of how it works. So Marcella, here's another question for you. There are a lot of misconceptions about energy healing. With the biggest myth that you like to debunk, and what's something you wish everyone understood about this process?
that is not, I mean, not real, woo woo, like we talked about, that we're just another one I heard. Some religious, I'm kind of digressing, but it's going to go back
You're
to this.
fine.
Some religious fanatics have been on, like, I had a friend send me this thing from TikTok, which I don't have TikTok. I will never download that app. It's another energy sucker vampire. But some lady, religious lady, was on there talking about how Reiki is demonic. And so there's another thing in one of my Reiki manuals is there's Reiki for Christians because Reiki is for everyone. Because
Nice.
again, it's the divine, it's through love, right? So you don't have to believe it. But there are people who have come in to get a session and after left like, wow. And even for me, because we have that logical thinking brain, we have a scientific brain, right? We need to see tangible evidence, and it's not always tangible evidence. So how can we believe? We believe by experience, right? And that's
Let
where
me let me actually. You just hit a nerve here. Not in a bad way, but you hit a thought here. When you said that people just they need proof to believe that something is real, right? Well, for those that believe in God, and I say God with the lowercase g, you're still faith is faith, right? Faith is what is faith, right? Faith is believing in something that you can't touch and feel. Just kind of feel like it's there. So Reiki would be the same thing. Reiki would be, you can't see it or whatever, but you believe, you feel something, Am I along the right tracks on that?
you're absolutely on the right track. And what there's, I told you there's studies done on. So they test the clients, they're not really patients, they've tested them after, like done blood work, stress level tests to see, like, actually, wow, that's effective. So that to see that things have changed and they've gotten better. And just by having clients and knowing what it's done for them and how they feel better, like that's proof enough. How else I mean, that's like going to the doctor, right? They do the placebo effect too, or they go on pills, and the pills make them cause other issues, right? Prescription drugs, that's another topic, which I try to stay away from, like I don't take any prescription drug. If like I've had to take an antibiotic, I will do that because sometimes it's necessary. But again, like, why is it that people believe in this conventional medicine with live faith? Because they go to college, they go to med school, they do all this training and it's extensive, but we're finding that it's not really, they're steered so far away from the nature of things and the holistic approach. Like, how does nature actually help? Like, my primary care physician is my acupuncturist, and she's an herbalist from herbs all over the world. And she does injections, like homeopathic injections, and she's amazing. So I don't even get acupuncturist. I do mostly like the herbs. And so again, there's like, how do we know that works?
I mean, you seem to be fine, you know, and I'm glad that you mentioned that because you're also, people like yourself are also proof that, if you're not taking conventional medicine and you're going holistically or spiritually or whatever the case is, it still works, and it's where your mind's at. As long as you believe that it works and you feel like it's worked, you're basically rewriting the narrative to your body, to your mind, so
Exactly.
it's a beautiful thing that you're doing that, and I'm sure that I know there's a lot of people out there that are doing it as well. And for those that aren't sure, hopefully look at Marcella, and she seems to be doing fine and everything. She's happy, she's energetic, she's telling you all these things. So if you're feeling the opposite of that, then give it a shot.
Yeah. Or try another, healing modality. Like try anything, start off meditating. And I would never steer somebody away from getting medical advice because I can't do that. We have liability insurance too, just to protect ourselves. And I would never do that. I believe there's a place for conventional medicine, but I also believe in the holistic route, which I'm personally going to do first and foremost, even for my dog. Like my little dog, Eli, he was born with this liver thing where he doesn't have enough veins for blood to flow to his liver. And I spent thousands of dollars at the vet trying to figure it out. Called my acupuncturist, she put him on herbs, some drops, and he was having episodes. Never hasn't had an episode since.
Oh
And
my gosh.
he could die maybe when he's 5 years. He's 4 now. He hasn't had he had almost like seizure, like where he would lose balance, he would bob his head, and they couldn't figure it out. And they wanted to put him on a special prescription dog food that they sold that had fillers and corn and all types of stuff. And I feed them. I feed my dogs no kibble. I feed them raw. I feed them organic. I give them vegetables and bone broth and mushrooms.
Put it on everything.
And they're healthy and they're happy.
Yeah.
Like to me, like you just have to be the living proof. You have to know and explore. And there are a lot of people think it's crazy and they would never do that. And they're stuck in, our society, especially with the marketing. And it's all about money and big pharma and all, the food. You just go to the grocery store and what do you see? Like mostly processed food, and we are not meant to do that. We're not meant to intake that. And so, but I would always help somebody. You want to come to me, I can help you. Just like when you asked me about the diet, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, I'm self-taught, and I'm healthy because I've learned and I've had advice from my acupuncturist and other sources that it's ongoing and things change. And like how did I know about mushrooms? Like that took time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And because we said earlier about blind faith and needing evidence. Well, like I said, if people talk to you, let's just say they just talk to you, and you're not a doctor, you're not anybody that gives them any kind of consulting advice, but you're that evidence.
Yeah.
Everybody like you that is in your part, that is following your trend and doing the same things, they are the evidence. You are not what I would define as blind faith. You are the evidence. So
Exactly.
what blows my mind is that when you have people like yourself who are walking around this on this planet, and people are, how you say, ignoring or not even taking the time to listen to you. It's like, why? What else do you need? Well, it needs to come from the government. It needs to come from some political old person, that is completely disconnected with everything else. If they say it, that's my evidence. All right. Well, if that's for you, then great. Good luck.
That
We
should
still
be.
love you. We
Yeah.
still love you. But so as we wrap up this podcast, Marcella, with because we could go on for hours on this, and we
And
will. We could probably go offline on this too. But I like to end my episodes with three questions for you to answer, and I'm always curious about your response. So
okay.
here's the first question. If you could send a message to humanity that everyone would hear, what would it be?
I would tell them that they are loved, that they come from love, that they should, not should, but I would love for them to remind themselves that life is, it's not hopeless. When we're depressed, we're all depressed. I get depressed, we have things in life that you're going to be okay. And that, I want them to be at peace, and I want them to remind themselves who they are at the core, and that is love. We like trauma. We have so much trauma in life. We all do. There are different degrees. And, I know that my trauma is not compared to some others. Like, I'm very blessed in my life, but I've had trauma, and I'm not going to share that openly what it is. There is always hope, and never give up. Just continue and seek whatever you can seek to help you, like find a group for human connection, right? Get off of social media and go join a group. Go take a yoga class or whatever it is. Go paint, painting or something. Go play soccer. Do something.
Yeah.
But
Go hug a tree or something.
yeah, but there's hope, and you're loved, and you're beautiful, and you're worth it. You're not worthless. You're worth it. We all are. We
Awesome.
all have like special gifts. And I could go on and but
Yeah,
we
yeah. No, that's beautiful. Yeah, yeah, no. Someone that's gonna mean something to somebody. I guarantee you that. My next question to you, Marshall, is what is one mystery of the universe that you wish you could solve?
gosh.
Take a moment. I know it.
No,
These aren't easy questions. These are
and
questions that you will only get on Beyond the Frequency.
how were we really created? Like, how did it all begin? And I can't even, when I was a little girl, I'd sit in bed and I would freak myself out. I remember I was 8 years old, and I would just have anxiety, like thinking about how it all started. And then what happens, like if we go on and on and on, like we continue like having different lives. I believe in past lives. I believe in reincarnation, and everyone does. But I also thought about, what if you're dead and then forever goes on forever? And I would get anxiety. So I try not to even go there with my mind, to kind of like get off on that. But like, really, how were we created, and what else is out there? Right?
Absolutely. And I have an answer for you on that, which I will share with you offline. All right,
Okay.
because I don't want to talk about it here because we are wrapping up, but that's also for a different episode. But I'll share that
And
with you.
for sure.
And my last question for you, Marcella, is beyond all the knowledge and experiences you've gained, what still leaves you in awe or makes you question everything?
Gosh, just the fact that there's more out there, right? There's so much out there. There's so many different dimensions, even higher than the 5D. And that's why our chakras go way, way up. This is the crown chakra, by the way. I kind of got stumped when I was telling you about all of them, but they're higher than the crown. So like what is around us? Like, we can't really see it, but we know it's there. And again, back on energy. So like how does it come together? Like, how it's amazing how we can just heal other people through energy and love. It still blows my mind. Like my mom, the example, like how did I clear her nose? Or when I was giving her Reiki and I was at the back of her head and she was laying down, we do it on a massage table, but she was on her bed at that, because I was just at her house, and she said, why are you poking me in the head? You're poking me. And I wasn't poking her. It wasn't even touching her. I was just behind her, giving her energy, you know? Like that stuff like gives me chill. You know, it's just fabulous.
Just with you just sharing that last one, for those of you that are curious about Reiki healing and its amazing properties and benefits, if you're a dairy person, I dare you to go try it. Just give it a shot. Just one time. It's like cross it off the bucket list. You know, say, yeah, I tried it. It was for me or it wasn't for me. For those of you that is for you, you're gonna get stuck. You're gonna like I'll be trying that out too as well because
Yeah,
yeah,
I would.
absolutely. I'm curious with all that stuff, you know, and I love to hear the fact that you are still learning. Some people that are hearing about there being an actual like there's an actual Reiki master out there, like or masters. So for those of you that are meeting Marcella or at least as a Reiki master for the first time, there she is. There one exists, you know. And again, once I put the links down here, you guys can reach out and ask her all the questions. I'm sure she'll be more than happy to answer them. But overall, there's probably other Reiki masters in your local area. Reach out to them. Just have a conversation. Just enlighten yourself, right? Tune in to that frequency. Well, I appreciate you answering these questions. I appreciate your time, Marcella. Like I said, we're probably going to have another episode at a later date. For my listeners, thank you once again for listening, for making it all the way to the end. I thank you all for jumping on this ride, figuring out if you like to have these conversations. Do you want more of these conversations? If you like this conversation, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I will be posting one episode a week, and I hope you guys just stick with me all the way through. This is brand new to me, so I am figuring it out as I go. Marcella, if you want to say one last thing before we take off air.
I just want to thank you, Cesar, for having me on. It's an honor, and I would love to come back. And all the listeners, like even if you're a non-believer, thank you for listening all the way through. You know, you can open your mind a little bit, even if you don't believe in it, just maybe learn about it. And there's so many resources online. This is a good book. This is Reiki by Frank Petter, Arjava Petter, and I have two of his books, but this is a really very informative book to, like, if you want to start and just delve in and read about it, you don't have to agree with it, but maybe just open your mind a little if you're curious to know. And there's so much more out there, not just Reiki. There's energy healing and other areas, but
I appreciate Marcella. Again, listeners, thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Frequency. Keep asking those questions. Dare to find out what else is out there beyond the frequency.